Welcome, welcome, welcome. You guys could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with me.
Your girl some support. All you gotta do is hit that like button. You don't have to do anything else. This is free, people. Support your girl. Now, let's get into the video. Today's video is, according to Kevin Samuels, would Jesus Christ be a high value man? According to him. Now, Kevin Samuels has 6 key values that he says must be the foundation of finding you I'm paraphrasing, a high value man. These 6 things that you must have. One is money. If you live in Atlanta, it's about $10K a month. You can adjust it depending on where you live, but it's pretty much around there. Number 2, you need to have that money for at least 3 to 5 years. Number 3, you have to have group acceptance with other high value men, meaning that other men that are in a certain, be able to be accepted by those groups of people. 4, networking. You need to have contacts. You need to have contacts to be able to reach out to people, to be able to actually get some things done. Very important. Number 5, visibility. You must look, sound, present yourself as what you are saying you are, which is a high value man. You can't come up to the party talking about you an entrepreneur. No. You need to look the part, smell the part, act the part, talk the part. You really need to, without even speaking, we need to be able to look at you and tell he's a high value man. And number 6, your usefulness. You must be useful for the group, meaning other high value men, or he could also be meaning just people in general. I'm not too sure, but basically you need to be useful. People need to know when you're not there. They need to be able to feel that you're not there. And if they can't tell that you're not there, then you're obviously not making those qualities. So with that being said, we now know the 6 things that you must have in order to be qualified as a high value man. So let's look at Jesus for a moment. Would Jesus be considered a high value man? Number 1, well, before I even go through it, the quick answer is Jesus would not be a high value man according to what Kevin Samuels gave. Now, yes, Jesus did exist in a time that we do not live in, but that does not mean that these cannot apply, because at the end of the day, they still had money, wealth, gold, property, land. They still were in powers of position. They still were able to have certain other men that were able to be in powerful positions. So this list should be able to apply to Jesus. And the short answer is Jesus did not qualify. He would not be considered a high value man. And we're going to go over why he wouldn't. Number 1, Jesus wouldn't be considered a high value man because according to Luke 2, you can see that after Mary gave birth to him, she went and actually went to the temple or to the priesthood to go give a sacrifice, because that's what she was supposed to do according to the Mosaic law. If you read Leviticus 12:7-8, you'll see that there were certain things you had to do once a woman was to give birth, whether it be a boy or a girl. It was certain offerings that they had to give. Now they were supposed to give a lamb. But if you didn't have a lamb, that's okay. If you were on the little, poorer side and you couldn't really afford it, you were able to give doves. So that's what Mary and Joseph gave to the priesthood as a sacrifice after she was to give birth to Jesus, which shows that he did not come from a wealthy family at all. Now, some people might say, okay, well, he didn't come from a wealthy family, but that doesn't mean that he didn't himself, acquire wealth at some point. If you read other verses when it talks about Jesus, Jesus himself says that he doesn't even have a place to lay his head. Now, yes, some people can look at that statement as metaphoric, but I believe that is both. I believe that it is a metaphor, but I also believe that it is literal, because you can't find anywhere within just researching about Jesus Christ where he owned any land, any property, or anything. It was even common stated when they would see him and say, isn't he the son of a carpenter? In a sense to say that this man he comes from common folks. So how is he anyway supposed to be our Messiah and supposed to save us? So based on that evidence, we can see that 1 and 2 doesn't apply to Jesus, because 1, he didn't have no money. 2, he wouldn't have the money for a length of time, 3 to 5 years, apparently. Group acceptance. I believe that Jesus would not fit the group acceptance because if you read, you find out about Herod, who was a king, who actually wanted Jesus dead when he found out that he was born. If you're a group acceptance and people are accepting you, why are they trying to kill you? And if you try to say, well, that's when he was born. Well, when he actually was crucified, you read Matthew 26, you'll see that the Jews were plotting to kill him. And at that time, Jews had power. They had influence. They were in really good positions. So these were people that you wanted to be good with if you were in that particular land in that particular time. And if you weren't, that wasn't a good look for you. So as far as the King Herod went, he wanted him dead. And then you read about how the Jews wanted him dead. So either way, he wouldn't fit 3 because it was no group acceptance with him. As far as networking contacts goes, the type of people that Jesus was reaching out to and talking to was fishermen, tax collectors, who he eventually I'm not too sure, but I believe he stopped doing that. But he surrounded himself with common folk type people. He had ran into some other type of people like Pilate and stuff like that. But all in all, he was not sitting here around people, and he was not going to these people and saying, hey, get this done, get that done. As far as high value people. Now, was he able to get things done for people? Yes, he was able to get a donkey. He was able to have a place to eat where they had their Last Supper with his disciples, where they opened their home to him and provided food. So yes, these things were done, of course, but this was done by common folk people. This was not done by high value, rich, wealthy people. So I don't believe he would fit for either. Visibly, when you want to look at, could you look at him and say, oh yeah, this man is a high value man? I believe he wouldn't fit that either, because Isaiah 53:2 talks about how his appearance was. He didn't have an appearance like that where you're like, oh, he's a majesty or he's a king or he's a prince. That's not the look that he gave. That just wasn't how he looked and how he carried himself when it prophesies about the Messiah coming. So he wouldn't fit 5 either. And then when you get to 6, which would be usefulness, that's probably the only one that I want to say I would give Kevin Samuels as far as saying would Jesus Christ fit his standard of what a high value man is. Because at the end of the day, he did heal a lot of people of sickness, of hurt. He taught people. So in that sense of being useful, yeah. Imagine the lady that had the blood issue. She had seen so many doctors, spent so many money, spent years trying to get healed. But all she touched was Jesus' garment and bam, she was healed. So he was very useful in that sense. So that is the only one that I would give him. Of all 6 of these things, I see only one being really what Christ will qualify for. Now, before you click off of this video, I'm going somewhere with this. We didn't just come here. Well, if you came here just to see the answer, well, there's the answer. He don't qualify. But I want to go somewhere else with this. So stick with me for a little bit. We're going to get back to Jesus. But before we get back to Jesus, I want to talk about another brother, because when you look at these values, right? We have another brother I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to break down some of the values that he has that Kevin Samuels points out. This brother network was about 5 billion. They said when he died, it was more around 140 billion. He acquired this money in his 30s, and he basically ended up richer than the money that we talked about in the beginning with the 5 billion. He ended up being even richer than that when he passed. So 1 and 2 shows you he acquired this wealth in his 30s. He worked for it and he died with it. So he had this money for a good length of time. He had 5 billion. So obviously he's making 10K a month. He's definitely making more than that. 3, we're going to talk about as far as group acceptance. He was actually named Chancellor of Germany in 1933. Some of you guys, it's already a clue for you who this man is. Why I keep calling him a brother. He's not a brother, but you know what I mean. You should already know who this man is. 1933, he was actually elected the Chancellor of Germany, which means he was very much accepted. at least from some people, because otherwise he wouldn't have been chancellor in order for him to be accepted. So he already got 3 of these off top. So he's looking pretty good right now. 4, as far as networking and things like that, this man was considered a very good speaker. When he came out, he showed out the way that he presented himself and the way that he spoke. He moved people and had people do things that they probably thought they would never do, just in support of this man and the way that he would speak and how he would present himself. And then you got 5, looking at him visibly, just what he's giving off. This man was a politician. He was a writer, he was an artist, and he was a soldier. This man, when you looked at him, you could tell, you could see that this man obviously have some type of authority. This was not a pushover. This was not someone that you were just going to be able to do whatever you wanted to do to him. So he already got 5. And then you're looking at 6, his usefulness. They have history on this man going back saying that he expanded the German army. He developed an air force. It was so many things that they say that this man did as far as getting things done. Was he useful to some people? He was very useful to people. He was harmful for a lot of people, but he was useful for some people who supported his agenda. Now, who is this brother we're talking about? We're talking about Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler fits every single one of Kevin Samuels' 6 criteria of what we should be looking for if we want a high value man. Jesus Christ don't fit it, but Adolf Hitler fits it. So this is my question to you sisters out there. This is my question to you. Even if you didn't have faith in Jesus, even if you don't believe him to be your Savior, your Messiah, when you read about the history of Jesus Christ and what he did when he came on this earth, when he walked, even if you believe he didn't, when you read the writings of the type of man he was, do you not tell me that this would not be a man that you would not want to support, that you would not want to back behind, have his back? Be able to, if it was possible, call him your husband. Someone who helps people, cares for people, feeds people, heals people, doesn't lie, doesn't steal, doesn't cheat, doesn't take advantage of, doesn't use people, sacrifices himself, gives his all, honest, truthful, all the things that us women desire and want from a man, Jesus has. And then when you look up Adolf Hitler, a murderer, a killer, a racist, a bigot, when you look at all the things that this man has done, all the evil and wicked things this man has done, you got to ask yourself, when you're looking at this list and what Kevin Samuels is presenting to you, that he claims the world gave him, you have got to ask yourself, is this really what I want? Because what I'm presenting you today is to say that you should not even desire a high value man if that is what you're looking for. Because you may end up with an Adolf Hitler, a liar, a thief, a murderer, a killer. Someone that belittles people, judges them from the outward appearance, judges them on, hates them and kills them based on faith alone because they believe something, wants to murder them and kill them and torture them. This is who you could end up with. So I propose today to say you should not be looking for that. So the question stands, okay. So if I shouldn't look for the 6 things that Kevin Samuels is telling me, what you're telling me is I should basically have a man that's poor and that's a bum. It's amazing to me how people like to exaggerate. And even Kevin Samuels did it in his video, which I will leave the link so you can hear for yourself. He says a man needs to make at least 10K in Atlanta, and depending on where else you live, you need to adjust it. Because a man can't be a high value man if he's homeless. How do you go from 10K a month to homeless? Now, in the end of the video, he says, just because you're not high value doesn't mean you're not value at all. So you see, we're doing all these mixed signals. That's what I get from him. The double talking and the mixed signals, not too clear, on what he says. Seems like he is, but then says something else that's kind of contrary to what he said. And then he kind of exaggerates so far from one end to the other. And of course, a woman's going to say, I don't want a man that's homeless. I don't want a man that's not making money to provide for me and the family. Of course you don't want that. No one would want a man that doesn't do that. And the scriptures don't teach us to have a man that does that. The scriptures tell us that if a man cannot take care of his family and doesn't take care of his family, that he's worse than an infidel. That's an unbeliever. So basically a man that can say, I believe in God, I'm obeying him, I love him, I put God first, but he don't take care of his family, he's worse than someone who doesn't believe at all. So the fact that this idea that, oh, well, I guess you want someone homeless. No one is saying that. What I am saying is what we should be looking for, what our foundational key should be, a man that is sober-minded, a man that has self-control, a man that is respectable, a man that is hospitable, a man that is able to teach, a man that is quick to hear and slow to speak, a man that is slow to anger. These are qualities that us as women should be looking for in a mate. These should be those foundational grounding clues that we should have in our mind. Because this is how we're going to know. Will he be willing to teach me things that I probably didn't really ever catch on or ever knew? Will he be able to respect me? Will he be gentle with me? Will he be kind with me? Does he understand that I am a weaker vessel? That I am an emotional person? That I do think with my feelings a lot of the time? Will he be able to communicate with that? Will he be able to reach me? Will he be able to understand me at times? These are the things that I feel. Even now I'm saying feel, you see? These are the things that we really as women should be looking for in a man. Because those 6 qualities that he's giving, they all sound great and good and all. But remember, Hitler had all 6 of those. Jesus only maybe qualified for 1. So that's what you're putting out for yourself. So this was the point of the video. The point of the video was to show that if Jesus Christ couldn't even fit these 6 criteria that he gives as being a high value man, then you got to ask yourself, is that the market you want to be on? He says that the market is all determined by the world. Meaning, you may think something is nice, you may think something is great, but when you put it on the market determines whether it is good, bad, or what it's worth. Well, that's what it comes down to with the man. The world will decide whether he is good, great, or valuable in any way or how valuable he is. He doesn't decide, the world does. Well, I'm here to tell you that you shouldn't even be looking for the world to even tell you on what you need to make you happy, because the world has failed us time and time and time again. The condition that the world is in now is chaos. So if that's the market that you're going for and that you're looking for, I'm here to tell you that you're going to have a tough time. And you're going to find a lot of heartache. I'm asking my sisters out there to stop looking in the world. Get out of that marketplace. Leave that marketplace. Stop going there. And come on over to this side. Looking for a man with those core values that I pointed out. And I believe with that being your core value and what you're looking for in a husband, I believe that you will truly be able to have the family, the love, and the happiness and the peace that you so much deserve and desire to have.
Kurt closing, told the truth, and now you know it. All you gotta do is keep going.